How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day, and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. So today we gotta talk about the Go Tour Sinnoh event that's going to be kicking off this weekend, and I'm really excited about this. I personally will not be in Los Angeles for the live event, but I will definitely be participating during the global event. I really do think this is an exciting time for Pokemon Go, and I do think it has the potential to inject a lot of life into this game. For the past couple of months, there has been a lot of negative sentiments towards Pokemon Go, and I really do think there's a potential for this event to do a lot of good for this game, and bring Niantic back into the good graces of the Pokemon Go community. But of course, that's all going to depend on if they've learned the right lessons from last year's Hoenn Tour event. In case you didn't know, that event was set to be one of the best events that Pokemon Go has ever had. The only problem is there was a lot of technical issues, and I think this is mostly on Niantic's fault. They did rebound and provided a lot of technical support and stable servers for the Go Fest event later on in the year. But yeah, the Go Tour event in Las Vegas was kind of a disaster, and I know because I was there. So my hope is that for the Los Angeles live event, it's going to run smoothly and there's going to be no technical issues. I really do not know if Niantic is going to fulfill that promise, but considering that it is being held in Los Angeles, which is not too far from San Francisco, I think Niantic has home court advantage in that regard. If Niantic runs a smooth live event, it's going to bring a lot of momentum into the global event, which is going to be happening just a week later. I really hope they end up with the win, because Niantic certainly needs it at this point. I mean, for the past couple of months, there has been a lot of negative sentiments and a lot of mixed reactions towards everything Niantic has been doing. I mean, last year we saw the introduction of a lot of fresh new mechanics, and players were just not responding well to those mechanics, and I really like the idea of what they're introducing at the Go Tour event this year, more specifically Spatial Rend and Roar of Time. I just don't feel like they polished it enough, so maybe this is going to be a great way for them to do some field testing on some future new mechanics, because I really like the approach that they're taking with these new moves. It's just unfortunate because the execution of these mechanics are not necessarily going over well with the Pokemon Go community. But maybe Niantic could get a lot of feedback and make some positive changes. They've certainly done that in the past, especially with things like Mega Evolutions, so I really do think there's a lot of potential for Niantic to do some good. Considering that the sentiment around the Go Tour event is typically very positive, Niantic has a golden opportunity here. If they make this event a stellar success, then they're going to be seen in a positive light, albeit temporarily, from the Pokemon Go community. And I really do hope they do not do something like what they did last year, where after the Go Tour event and everyone was feeling very positive about Pokemon Go, Niantic went and dropped the remote raid pass nerf. I really hope they do not have anything like that in the pipeline, because what they really need to do is build upon the positivity that they gained from these live events. And for this year, I'm very curious to see how things are going to go with the global event, considering that a majority of people are not going to be able to go to Los Angeles for the live event. The global event is going to be the main way people are going to experience this event. So I really hope Niantic has some nice surprises, because as of right now, it does seem like it's a little bit undercooked. But I really do think that's because they decided to postpone the release of Arceus, Manaphy, and Fion, which I reported yesterday. But regardless of that, I really do hope things go well. Like, I hope the raiding scene is going to be bustling, I really hope the spawn rates are going to be decent, and I do think the gameplay is going to be fun, because naturally these Go Tour events are a great way for players to get engaged. And I do think that with a lot of the positivity that they could potentially build, it's going to be a good year for Pokemon Go. But this year, the bare bones of it is a pretty solid event, and all they have to do is make sure they're not stingy when it comes to shiny rates and legendary Pokemon. If they do that, then I think a lot of players will talk very positively of Niantic, but it's really going to depend on them. If they decide not to do a lot of the things that the community is asking for, eventually people are going to quit. That's the reality of it. I mean, there's a lot of people I know who have already quit, and it's mainly because of how Niantic has been approaching their game. They have a certain level of stubbornness when it comes to the design of Pokemon Go, and I really feel like at this point that's only going to hurt the game overall. I think 2023 brought along with it a lot of challenges for Niantic and the Pokemon Go community, and there were a lot of lessons learned. At least I hope there was. And this Go Tour event is going to be the first big test for how much Niantic has learned and grown. Yeah, they did a lot of things wrong in 2023. But if the Go Tour event is successful, then Niantic is going to be starting 2024 on the right foot, and they can continue to use that momentum to make some very positive changes and get back into the good graces of the Pokemon Go community. That's all I could ever hope for, because Niantic, at the end of the day, I do not agree with everything that they do, especially like the remote raid pass nerf and a lot of things like that. But ultimately, I really do enjoy Pokemon Go. It's basically the one game that I play the most. And I would like to see Niantic make positive changes and actually care about the community. I know they do. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're not making these decisions simply because they hate the community, even though it feels that way. But ultimately, they need to show their actions as true to their word. Like, if they do want to see Pokemon Go thrive, then they need to make sure they're respecting their community and the money that the community is putting into it. And yeah, I totally recognize that events like the Go Tour event and Go Fest are often monetized egregiously, but at the same time, I do think Niantic tends to put out some really solid in-person events. If you haven't been to an in-person Go Tour or Go Fest event and you're able to go to Las Vegas, well, actually, I think it's sold out at this point, but yeah, one of these days you need to go to an in-person event. Niantic actually does a really good job with these. It's just unfortunate that the Pokemon Go community is typically not as receptive because they're distracted by so many of the negative things that Niantic does outside of these events. Like, the remote raid pass nerf, like, I know I talk about it so often on my channel, but the amount of negativity that created within the Pokemon Go community, I really do think that Niantic has a lot of ground to make up. If the Go Tour event ends up being a massive failure, then that's going to be yet another nail in the coffin of Pokemon Go. And I would just hate to see that. Like, I really want Pokemon Go to succeed, and I really want Niantic to change their ways. If they're so gung-ho about their own philosophies, then yeah, this game is going to eventually die out. But if they're receptive to their community and have a nice working relationship with the community, then I do think that this game will thrive for several years and possibly even decades to come, and that would be the most ideal situation. We don't need stuff like Mateo or routes or party play. We need new, fresh gameplay content. It's just not enough to just simply go out and explore and catch Pokemon. You need to be able to do some exciting things while you're doing it. I think Daily Adventure Incense was a nice start, and I'm really curious to see what they end up doing with stuff like Spatial Rend and Roar of Time. If they release different Pokemon in the future with special abilities, I would like to see them do a lot of experimenting. Yeah, Spatial Rend and Roar of Time are incredibly expensive to use, and I don't think a lot of players are actually going to care about them, but I do think there's a lot of potential there. Like, something like this is going to be really key for Pokemon Go's longevity. Niantic just needs to make sure they have their creative juices flowing, because if they do not, then this is going to fall on its face, and that's going to be really disappointing because, again, I really like the idea of these moves and what they do. I just kind of wish Niantic executed them a lot better, but that's neither here nor there. I am really excited about the Go Tour event. I think there's a lot of potential, like I've been saying, and I really do think that this is going to be something that could become the first of many positive things that happen in 2024. Or it could be the only positive thing, or it could be the start of a lot of negative things. We really do not know, and I'm just hoping for the best. But yeah, with that said, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share my thoughts regarding the Go Tour event, and I totally understand that there is a lot of skepticism within the Pokemon Go community. If you do not think that this event is going to be the start of something really good for Pokemon Go, I would like to know why. If you're already disappointed with the Go Tour event, I would also like to know why as well. Make sure you share your thoughts in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And as always, thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Count Jinsula channel, you could do so by clicking on the links in the description below. If you go to my Patreon page and join my Patreon, you will get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon and join any of the tiers. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @CountJinsula, and I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. I think they're actually all right here. Yeah. Well, anyways, that's going to be it. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.